storm spread snow from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic. The extreme weather blamed for at least 4 deaths. Dangerous driving, hundreds of crashes, vehicles sliding on the road, nearly 2,000 flights canceled, a ground stop at Chicago O'Hare. Our team across the storm zone and Al Roker tracking it all. And as snow slammed Washington, Congress convening to certify President-elect Donald Trump's election victory on the 4th anniversary of the January 6th attack. And Vice President Kamala Harris, what she told us before overseeing the certification after her loss. Also tonight, President Biden in New Orleans meeting with victims' families after the deadly terror attack. Our new reporting. Concerns about the city's new barriers weeks before the Super Bowl as the FBI releases video shot by the attacker. The first human death from bird flu in the U.S., what we know. Canada's embattled Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announcing he's stepping down amid plunging polls and Donald Trump's tariff threats.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome. What for many was a back-to-the-grind Monday after a long holiday break turned into a travel nightmare due to a powerful and deadly winter storm that sliced its way across the country from the plains and Midwest all the way to Washington, D.C., where that city virtually shut down under its largest snowstorm in 3 years. At least 4 storm-related deaths were reported. Cities including Kansas City with 11 inches and Cincinnati yesterday saw their biggest snowfalls in decades. In addition to slick and snow-covered roads triggering hundreds of crashes, power outages are still affecting hundreds of thousands of residential and business customers. Tonight, the worst of the storm has passed, but airlines are still trying to unsnarl flight schedules after storm-related delays and cancellations brought post-holiday air travel to a crawl. Sam Brock starts us off from a snowy nation's capital. Sam, what's it like there tonight?
Yeah, Lester, good evening. Amazingly, still snowing. Lester, more than 80% of the departing flights today from DCA canceled. The airport says the runways now closed down as well. Some schools not reopening until Thursday as the storm continues to slow down many aspects of everyday life. Tonight, a bout of Arctic blast blanketing D.C. with more than a half foot of snowfall, leading to serious safety hazards on the roads, like this crash today on the Beltway involving 4 vehicles, including a dump truck. A reminder of the rarity and danger of the system.
We haven't had snow like this, really, in memory. I mean, this is the most at one time that I've ever seen since living here.
Even as the snow also freezes activity into the city.
No people, no trucks, no cars, and a lot of empty space.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
The sprawling storm disrupting travel. Around 2,000 flights have been canceled and more than 6,000 delayed nationwide. This morning in Chicago, a ground stop at O'Hare Airport. And Kansas City International clocking 11 inches of snow just on Sunday, its 4th largest snowfall since 1888. At Reagan National, passengers hoping to get where they're going soon.
I heard about the storm, but I didn't think it was going to be an effect.
The dangerous conditions across the country's midsection causing at least 4 weather-related deaths. Kentucky's governor urging residents to take caution.
The most important thing that people can do today is to stay home and to stay safe.
The heavy snow burying cars. NBC's Maggie Vespa is in Kansas City, Missouri.
The roads here are an absolute mess. I mean, these cars clearly haven't moved since snow started falling. And officials here in Kansas City say cleanup could take days.
The severe weather also causing 300,000 customers from Virginia to Illinois to lose power. The snow shutting schools down across the country. In Washington, D.C., parents juggling work and childcare. I think you could keep this up with your kids.
Oh, God. I mean, I am emotionally prepared to have it go through Wednesday.
In a city normally defined by movement and chaos, Mother Nature hitting pause on almost everything.
And Sam, some of the dangers we've been seeing aren't over yet.
Well, Lester, bitterly cold air is going to grip the eastern half of the country. Temperatures plunging 10 to 25 degrees below normal. That deep freeze expected to last for days.
All right,
Lester?
Sam, thanks. Let's talk about that deep freeze. Al Roker is here. What are you looking at?
All right, well, right now, Lester, as we take a look, you can see the remnants of that snow still coming across Washington, D.C. That's just about done. As Sam mentioned, 10 to 25 degree below average temperatures tomorrow, right into the weekend. Wind chills, low single digits from Sioux Falls into the low 20s into the midsection of the country. And then we've got a second storm coming. It's going to move out of the Gulf, out into the Atlantic. Right now, what we're looking at from Thursday to Saturday, a widespread area from the mid-Atlantic down to the south with heavier snow, ice in the mid-Mississippi River Valley, strong storms down through the Gulf. The model's not quite sure right now, Lester, but we could be looking at a major snow impact event going into the weekend.
All right, Al, thanks very much. At the U.S. Capitol, it was a far different scene from January 6, 4 years ago. The snow, as you just saw, but also Congress quickly certifying President-elect Trump's Electoral College victory without the violence of 4 years ago. Here's Garrett Haake.
Tonight, in a joint session lasting just 40 minutes, Congress counting state electoral votes.
Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 30 votes for president,
certifying the sweeping election victory of President-elect Donald Trump, who takes office as the 47th commander-in-chief. As president of the Senate, Vice President Kamala Harris overseeing the certification of her own defeat.
Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes.
Vice President-elect J.D. Vance sitting in the front row. We spoke to Harris on the way into the ceremony.
What should people take away from today?
The only disruption, a snowstorm blanketing the Capitol, a stark departure from the violence 4 years ago when a mob of Trump supporters attacked the Capitol, delaying the count for hours. A deadly riot where many were also injured, including Capitol Police Sergeant Aquilino Ganell.
Many of my colleagues were injured, losing to the point of even losing eyes. And these are the type of people that Donald Trump and his ally are trying to pardon.
Candidate Trump regularly downplayed the violence and his role.
But that was a day of love.
And repeatedly suggested he might pardon some or all of the more than 1,200 people who pleaded guilty to or were convicted of crimes involving January 6th.
Those people have suffered long and hard. And there may be some exceptions to it. I have to look.
President Biden, who campaigned on a claim Trump was a threat to democracy, was asked last night if he still holds that view.
I think what he did was a genuine threat to democracy. I'm hopeful that we're beyond that.
And Garrett, there's also a headline today involving former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani.
That's right, Lester. A New York judge holding Giuliani in contempt of court for failing to turn over information to the 2 Georgia election workers who won a $148 million defamation case against him. The judge saying he would decide on appropriate sanctions for Giuliani at a later date. Lester?
All right, Garrett Haake, thank you. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are in New Orleans tonight, 5 days after the truck attack that killed 14 people. And there are still more questions about safety in the French Quarter. Jesse Kirsch now with late details.
Tonight, President Biden and the First Lady in New Orleans visiting the growing memorial on Bourbon Street as his administration promises more federal resources to protect the city. The White House saying next month's Mardi Gras celebrations will now have support comparable to the Super Bowl.
I've directed my team to make every resource available to federal, state, and local law enforcement to complete this investigation quickly and do whatever else we can.
The announcement comes as NBC News has learned from the company that makes the new bollard barriers being installed on Bourbon Street ahead of the Super Bowl that they're only guaranteed to stop cars going a maximum of 10 miles per hour. Some experts say that's not nearly enough.
They, hit the gas instead of the brake and they roll into the bollard. That's what that's designed for. It's not designed to stop a ramming attack like we saw on New Year's Eve.
New Orleans' mayor now says she wants a tactical expert to review the city's safety plans.
The city of New Orleans will always remain focused on improving public safety measures. No doubt about that.
Meanwhile, federal investigators revealing Shamsuddin Jabbar visited New Orleans at least twice in the months before his deadly rampage. The FBI releasing this blurred video from October, which they say Jabbar recorded with smart glasses while riding a bike through the French Quarter. Jabbar also seen looking at himself in the mirror to test the glasses authorities say he was also wearing during the attack. Investigators also releasing this new video of his movements. At 1:53 a.m., he plants the first cooler containing an explosive device. At 2:20 a.m., Jabbar planted the second bomb. 55 minutes later, they say he rammed the truck down Bourbon Street. The explosives never detonated. Still, 14 people were killed. Tonight at the city's iconic cathedral, their families, the community, and the president gathering to honor the lives lost.
And Jesse, another test for New Orleans, the beginning of Carnival season.
That's right, Lester. 2 parades are planned for tonight around the French Quarter, helping kick off Carnival, which is the season leading up to Mardi Gras. All of this as Louisiana's Attorney General now says she's ordered a review of security plans from New Year's Eve in New Orleans. Lester?
Jesse Kirsch tonight, thank you. We're going to turn now to growing concerns over the bird flu. One state now reporting the first death in the U.S. related to the virus. Ann Thompson is with us. Ann, what are health officials saying?
Well, Lester, we know this individual was in Louisiana. The person was 65 years old with pre-existing conditions. This was the first severe human case of H5N1 in the U.S. There have been at least 66 cases in this country since last year. Most of them involved farm workers who got the virus from sick poultry or dairy cows and had mild symptoms. This is believed to be the first case transmitted from what state health officials call a combination of backyard flock and wild birds. The good news here, the CDC says the risk to the general population remains low, and so far there's no sign of human-to-human transmission, Lester.
Okay, and thanks for the update. Canada's long Longtime Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced today he is stepping down as he faced growing turmoil at home and a difficult relationship with President-elect Donald Trump. Here's Andrea Mitchell.
Tonight, deeply unpopular at home because of soaring prices and ridiculed by President-elect Trump, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau bowing out.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
The son of a popular Prime Minister, Trudeau's movie star looks and photogenic young family made him an international star. But in recent years, he was criticized for inflation and immigration. 3 weeks ago, his closest advisor, the Deputy Prime Minister, resigned.
It has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
A final blow, tension with President-elect Trump, who threatened Canada with 25% tariffs. Despite Trudeau rushing to Mar-a-Lago to appease him, Trump blamed Canada for fentanyl and undocumented immigrants crossing the border, and Canada's trade advantage with the U.S., mocking him on Truth Social as a governor. Posting today, many people in Canada love being the 51st state. What's the impact of having a leadership crisis in Canada?
I actually think it probably smooths the relationship, since clearly Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau were not on the same page.
Trudeau will still be Prime Minister for a few months of Trump's presidency while Canada decides how to replace him. Lester?
Andrea, thank you. In 60 seconds, a new study raising more questions about the effect of fluoride on kids' IQs. Why many dentists disagree with the findings when we come back. Back now with new scrutiny on the safety of the water millions of Americans drink. A new analysis finding a potential link between added fluoride and lower IQs in children. Stephanie Goss now with the study and the controversy.
Tonight, growing questions about whether fluoride in drinking water is doing more harm than good. A report published today in JAMA Pediatrics concludes there is a statistically significant association between higher fluoride exposure and lower IQ scores in children. The study, funded by the National Institutes of Health, analyzed existing research conducted outside the United States. The lead author telling NBC News there is concern that pregnant women and children are getting fluoride from many sources, including drinking water, and that their total fluoride exposure is too high. The research is being criticized by many in the public health community. 52 of the 74 studies it looked at are rated low quality, according to the authors themselves. The conclusions based on fluoride levels more than double what's recommended for drinking water in the U.S.
The ongoing benefits of community water fluoridation at this time strongly outweigh the flawed analyses that are presented in this paper that's just being published.
Superior fluoride toothpaste.
Fluoride has been added to U.S. drinking water since the 40s. More than 70% of Americans get it in their taps. The CDC, American Dental Association, and American Academy of Pediatrics support fluoridating water, citing studies it reduces tooth decay by 25%.
Cavities can obviously cause pain and suffering. People can get very bad infections. Also, many people miss time from school, from work.
The issue is getting growing attention because of new research and recent public comments by RFK Jr., Donald Trump's choice to lead HHS, who wrote on social media, the Trump White House will advise all U.S. water systems to remove fluoride from public water. In an editorial in JAMA Pediatrics, Dr. Bruce Lamphere says today's study shows it is time to reassess fluoride in drinking water.
The conclusions are sufficient to raise serious questions about fluoride's toxicity to the developing brain. That means we need to pause. We need to give ourselves a chance to look at this evidence fresh.
Stephanie, these studies were all done outside the U.S. Is there anything being studied currently in the U.S.?
Yeah, there is. Researchers at UNC Chapel Hill are studying babies, some who are drinking fluoridated water, some who are not. They're going to track their development for 4 years, Lester.
All right, Stephanie Goss, thank you for that. Coming up, the students arrested for allegedly using a dating app to lure men and then beating them. Is it part of an alarming trend? Next. Some college students in Massachusetts are accused of taking part in what may be a disturbing social media scheme, enticing a man to campus and attacking him, then falsely telling police he's a sexual predator. Here's Liz Kreutz.
In Worcester, Massachusetts, authorities arrested 6 college students who they say lured a man to campus using a dating app where he was then chased down by a group of 25 people, assaulted, and falsely accused of being a sexual offender. The ploy, police say, inspired by a social media fad that they say may be based on the former NBC TV series To Catch a Predator.
You see on social media all the time, but you would never expect it to happen, right next to you, right in your own school.
It happened at Assumption University, where in court documents, police say a man was invited to campus by an 18-year-old student who used her real profile on the dating app Tinder. Authorities say when he arrived, the man, whose family says is 22, said he and his alleged date were watching a baseball game in the student lounge when the mob appeared and began calling him a pedophile and accusing him of liking sex with 17-year-old girls. The man told police the group chased him to his car, where they punched him in the head and slammed his car door on him. He got away and called police, who say surveillance video shows the group of students, many of whom were filming the incident on their phones, laughing and high-fiving with each other. In a statement, the Catholic University calling the behavior abhorrent and that they have launched an immediate and thorough investigation. But the incident not isolated. 11 teenagers in Mount Prospect, Illinois have also been charged after police say last year 2 men were allegedly lured and beaten after arranging to meet up with a person using a dating app. Authorities saying some of the teens got the idea through a viral social media trend they saw online. And now at Assumption University, charges against the students range from kidnapping to intimidation and assault and battery with a deadly weapon. They are set to be arraigned later this month. Lester.
All right, Liz Kreutz, thank you. That's Nightly News, and we leave you on this snowy Monday here in the East with the pandas of the National Zoo enjoying the winter weather. Thank you for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.